Hey everybody, exam one, it is done. It's in the books. And a lot of us have questions, I know. So first up, how many of you have taken an exam like that before? Completely written? If you haven't yet had, 8 or 9 or 2 or 3 essay questions to take up the entire exam period, that's going to become the norm. When you go to that institution you really want to transfer to so badly, almost all the exams that they give are in this form. So here's what I know. I know most of us aren't taking this class to major in science. I sure hope you learned some astronomy along the way, that's for sure. But the best thing I can do for you is to prepare you for your next level of education, and that is to be ready for being a college academic. And part of that is giving you a taste of reality and to what's to come. So I know writing is not everybody's forte, but it is vital. It is incredibly important, isn't it, to being, first of all, academically successful, and really to being professionally successful too. Again, most of us are trying to transfer. That's why you're taking my class. It's a check mark on a box that says I have to do this before I do that, and then to get a degree in what you really want. In the professional life, in your career, almost all communication is written. You'll be writing emails, you'll be reading emails, you'll be writing reports. And that all has to be clear and succinct and supportive. And for that reason, it's the most important skill really that you develop in college, no matter if you're taking astronomy or English or sociology or whatever. So I have a lot of pandemic hiatus students with me this semester. You're enrolled at the University of Maryland. They're not going to let you on campus. You have to be in California anyway. Why would you spend $40,000 to sit in your living room this semester and take classes at the University of Maryland, which is really your living room? So of course we have a lot of students that are on hiatus from that and taking DVC credit this semester. And they're all shaking their heads right now going, yeah, that's exactly right. It's mostly written. So this is a skill that we develop, and it has to be done through experience, which means that you just have to do it a lot until you get better and better at it. Some of you are already there, absolutely. I know this. So I have a little list here of things I wanted to mention. A lot of us have, this sort of predetermined bias as to what college classes are like. You've been at DVC for an entire semester or maybe 2, and you've got a taste of what your classes are like. You think that's just what college is like, and well, that's not always the case. I've been teaching here for 30 years. I know a lot of professors. And both of my kids went through DVC, so I'm very familiar with what their classes look like and how they prepared them for the next step. And all I can tell you is that this class is going to prepare you for the next step. It requires you to assimilate information. It requires you to communicate it. And even if we were doing it orally, yes, you were giving me a video report, it wouldn't be that much different than your written report. We tend to write and think and speak in the same manner. So it's a matter of realizing that we can elaborate more. We can be more supportive. We think ahead as to what the questions might be after reading our material and going, oh yeah, I should probably define that too, and just getting better at that. So please don't be too discouraged. And I say this with all compassion and empathy that I can muster, but all of us probably could use a little bit of help in the writing area. So, don't let that be a barrier, okay? Take more writing classes. Even when you've done all the required ones, take even more. And the more you do, the better at it you'll get. I promise you that, okay? This exam number 1, was 15% of your total grade. And that's a very small piece of the entire puzzle. So, think of it that way. There's still lots and lots of pieces of the entire grade to make up. And quite frankly, if all of us have, 15% at the end of the class, then I will be curving the grades. So please don't worry about things like that. But if I had to give you a grade for this particular exam, and I really don't do that, but if I had to, it would kind of break down like this. The exam is out of 44 points. And if you got about 35 or higher, that's definitely A category. I mean, that was an excellent job. I realize that 35 out of 44 is not 90%. No, but on this exam, that's definitely A work. Okay. If you got the 34, hey, we'll call it an A-. Okay. If you got above 40, my gosh, I wish I had more letters, something above an A. But these are excellent grades for sure. If you're in this category of 30 to 34, we'll call that basically a B on this exam. It's a very good job. And by college standards, good is really good. And if you got in the 25 to 29 range, we'll call that basically C work, adequate, good enough, and passes the college level mastery. So, if you want a letter grade for your exam, you can use these as a guide, but again, they're not really going to determine your letter grade in the end. Okay. If you got below 25 points, which is the majority of us, then it's it's a wake-up call, isn't it? And then the questions become, well, how do you even study for an exam like this, right? And the snotty teacher says, well, you just watch everything that I give you, and then you memorize, and you come back and spit it all back out again, right? Yeah, what an asshole, right? That's what you would say. And but in essence, we are trying to get you to read, view, understand as much of the material as you can. And you don't have to give it back to us in our particular words, but we're looking for certain concepts, right, that are mentioned as you sort of develop a supportive argument for what you know. And that's how we prove what we know, is by writing these and speaking these supportive arguments. So I know it's new. I know it's different. This is not high school. This is different. This is higher education, and it just requires more than you've ever been used to before. Okay. However, should you pass through these rings of fire as you get your college degree, you'll come out on the other side tempered and forged, and you'll have all those desirable traits that employers want, okay, for a professional in any area, really. So I didn't give you an answer there, did I? Because I really don't know the answer. How do you study, for an exam like this? Some people are gifted. Some people have a lot of experience. They just read something and they get it. They can spit it back out in eloquent form. Others read it and it's like reading a Klingon, unless you already know Klingon. But it's like reading a foreign language, and it's just very, very difficult to understand what the heck is going on there. Then, of course, to put it in your own words and explain it in a way that makes sense to you, but it didn't make sense to begin with. That is extremely difficult. And that just requires more experience, yes, both in writing and in terms of the foundational things that allow you to understand college science. And typically that is in the mathematical category, to which you say, there was no math. But when you can think quantitatively like that, it really does help you develop a linear way of explaining things. And it comes in just a breadth of knowledge. So the more classes you take in all areas, unless it's Klingon, it will help you to determine and to become a better student in all the other areas. That's the one thing we learn in college, is that all the subject areas are related, especially when you get deeper and deeper into all of them. Okay. So finally, need some glasses here to read that from afar. Other things that have come up in the emails, why does the exam have to be so hard? And that's a great question. How come people can't get 100% on it? And the answer is, well, they could, if you think like me, right? And you do exactly what I was requiring of you, but nobody's expecting that or even hoping for it, really. If nobody's getting 100%, then you understand what the limits are. If all your class is getting 100%, then, who knows which student knows more than anybody else? And you say, well, why do we have to be ranked? And the answer is, well, that is kind of how grading works, depending upon your overall understanding of the material. So when I was in college, all my exams are written, all of them, unless I was taking physics, astrophysics, or math. They were all written. And a typical average on an exam was 45%, believe it or not. And that was a good grade. And thank goodness they don't write your percentages on the report card. They all do is write the letters. But that was very, very standard. My very first math class, which was not written, I got an average of, my first midterm score was a 28%. And any rational person would go, that was not good, and I should be dropping this class. But I didn't. I took the final exam, and I got a 32% on it, to which you say, man, I'm sorry, that must have hurt. I got a B+ in that class, and it's not because my professor was particularly gentle or sympathetic. It's just that the average was below those two scores. And you say, man, that's just, really? And the answer is yeah. And if you talk to anybody that's been through college, they will tell you very similar stories. So all I can say is this is very typical. And you just have to be okay with the fact that you've done the best you can. And when you outperform, the majority of the class, trust me, you'll be rewarded. You'll be definitely given a grade that is a superior grade. Okay. All right. A final comment. A lot of people, you write back and say, I mentioned everything in the grading rubric. And by the way, do you know how to get to the grading rubric? Go to grades on your Canvas page, click on the assignment that you're interested in, exam 1. And in the far right of that little bar that says exam 1, there are 3 icons. And one of them looks like a document. It's the furthest one to the right. And click on that one. Then it opens up a grading rubric, and it shows you what we were hoping that you would explain in each of the problems. And they're just concepts. We're not asking you to state it exactly like I do, but you need to hit on the concept. So if you're trying to explain why the sky is blue, the only way to get full credit is by talking about wavelengths of light. Yeah, blue light waves are short, red wavelengths are long. And be talking about the molecules of air that we breathe, oxygen and nitrogen. And the fact that the size of them is a very similar size to the wavelengths of blue light, that's a concept. It has to be mentioned if you want to get full credit for that. If you want to talk about how to find the North Star, you must mention the pointer stars, Merrick and Dubby, because without 2 stars, you can't really draw a line, can you, that lines you up with Polaris. So these sort of concepts have to be mentioned to get your grades and your rubric. And the rubric is a symbol of equity, meaning that we don't give anybody extra points because we like them or because they look like us or that they say the same things that we do. Nope, everybody's graded on the exact same basis. So it's an extremely fair way and equitable way to grade people. And you're right, many of the times you knew your stuff, and it's just a matter of communicating that, isn't it? In written form, and really showing that you understand the material. And that's, again, just something that we need to develop. It takes experience. So get some more writing under your belt. And by the way, some of you already know the answer to this question. How do you become a better writer? Yeah, become a more voracious reader is right. Yeah, you got to be exposed to all this different type of writing style, vocabulary, what good sentence structure looks like, what a supportive argument looks like. And the more you read, the better writer you become as well. Okay. All right, I'm sure there's all sorts of questions still, so we'll take the rest of them via Zoom, in office hours this week, okay? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're not beating yourself up too much. There are 3 more exams, and, you got a taste of me at this point, don't you? So you'll have a better idea of what to do next time around.